Severe weather moved across the northern part of the state today, and our Viero camera out in Ray caught, in that little circle you see on your screen, a tornado way out in Yuma County today. Good news, there were no reports of any damage. Back here in the metro, severe weather avoided us once again. You're taking a live look out over downtown Denver tonight. Despite some dark clouds passing through today, we mostly enjoyed a perfect summer day. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Jennifer Meckles. It was a pretty active weather day for the northeastern corner of our state. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen joins us now. You've got to babysit what's going on up there. At the same time, it's pretty chill down here in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, they looked pretty ominous, right, when they first started here across the Front Range, but they quickly moved off, and that's where the trouble really started to happen. A few hailers out there, one tornado. We were actually watching this tornado unfold on the Viero wireless camera up on the tower in Yuma. This is 25 miles away, so what tells me there that we were able to see that so clearly from 25 miles away is that it was a very tall tornado and it was very clear, so no rain around it or hail or other clouds. And judging by some storm chaser videos that we saw tonight, it did look like it was a very impressive tornado, but no damage has been reported from that. There was also some hail across the area, up to ping pong ball size hail, some minor damage to some flower plots and some personal property with those, but the radar is dry now and the severe thunderstorm watch has been lifted out of here. We're in the 60s here in the Denver metro area, 55 out at Denver International Airport. Tomorrow's going to be quiet and it's going to be kind of nice. We have mostly sunny conditions, maybe a little bit of a breeze, but no storms to deal with. The storms will be back on Monday and those could be severe and they could include the Front Range. So we'll watch that forecast develop. Also some thunderstorms left over on Tuesday before a warm up. So I'll detail that coming up in just a few minutes, Jenny.
Corey, thank you. 9 months after Rajon Belt Stubblefield was shot and killed by an Aurora police officer, a grand jury will now decide if that officer should face criminal charges. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us to explain how that process works and what makes this one a little unique.
Yeah, Jenny, while grand juries in officer-involved shooting cases are not unheard of, 9 News legal expert Scott Robinson says the majority of these cases use a different process.
A decision on charging an officer is a very significant one to make.
For Rajon Belt Stubblefield's family, that decision has been 9 months in the making and will now go before a grand jury. On August 30th, 2025, Aurora police say they pulled Stubblefield over for speeding and a suspected DUI near 6th Avenue and Billings Street. Back in early April of this year, his family sat down with 9 News to share their story.
We were together up until 6 p.m. and literally he said, "I'm going to go to the store." I said, "I'm going to start dinner."
Grand juries are very important in some cases because you can compel witnesses to testify. This is a situation where there were multiple witnesses because it was broad daylight.
Body camera footage released by Aurora police showed the officer approaching Rajon's car, gun drawn. Moments later, the two were seen squaring off in the middle of the road with Rajon saying, "Are you ready for this?"
Get on the ground. Ready for
The officer fired 3 shots.
Did the law justify the use of deadly force? That's what it comes down to. Based on Colorado law, was the officer justified in opening fire when he did?
9 News legal expert Scott Robinson expanded on the strategy of having a jury answer that question.
Because this is a complicated situation and different folks will see that what happened in different ways. It probably is beneficial to have a group of citizens determine probable cause and not just a prosecutor or a group of prosecutors. I suspect that the DA's office was somewhat reluctant to make the decision in this case, and that may well be why the case is being referred to a grand jury.
Robinson says for that group of citizens, the grand jury process could last a month or as long as 10 months.
The vast majority of grand jury proceedings are solemn, serious events where individuals do their best to determine whether there's probable cause to indict.
The DA's office says because grand jury proceedings are confidential, they will not be providing any further updates. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Community members gathered tonight to mourn 3 members of a family who all died in what Thornton police believe was a murder-suicide last weekend. The Denver Gazette has reported that David, May, and Asher Nelamark were all shot and killed inside a home back on May 22nd by a fellow family member, Joey Vu, who then shot and killed himself, according to police. Tonight, loved ones gathered to mourn the 3 Nelamarks and support their surviving son, Anze. They tell us the family was deeply involved in a local hockey community, and they held a candlelight vigil outside an ice rink in Westminster tonight. Family members tell us they're raising money to support the teenager who is now without parents.
Because we've had to lay to rest multiple family members, there's been a huge financial burden on our family, and because Anze is only 18, we're hoping that we're going to be able to raise enough funds to give our loved ones the dignity that they deserve, and then to secure a future for Anze.
Thornton police say the investigation into that shooting is still ongoing. The man from Castle Rock who fled the country before the verdict in his child sex assault case was announced has now been sentenced. 45-year-old Jorge Campos was found guilty back in March of sexual assault of a child. Before he could receive his sentencing, though, he skipped court, cut off his ankle monitor, and went on the run. Police in New Mexico arrested him a couple days later as he was getting on a bus headed for Mexico. On Friday, Campos was sentenced to life in prison. A person died today after they were hit by an A-line train in Denver. Denver police say the crash happened around 12:40 in the afternoon in the 4200 block of North Jackson. That is near 40th and Colorado Station. The crash did impact the A-line for several hours. RTD ran shuttle buses in both directions to the airport while the train was down. Denver police say the crash is now under investigation. The Colorado Republican Party has a new leader tonight after the last party chair resigned following party infighting. The new guy now promises to focus on rebuilding and unifying a very divided state GOP.
After 2 rounds of voting, former Douglas County GOP Chair Craig Steiner won the election today at the State Central Committee meeting in Buena Vista. He replaces former GOP Chair Britta Horn, who resigned halfway through her term, which was plagued by lawsuits involving other Republicans and her vice chair's quitting. One of the contenders for GOP chair today was MAGA podcaster Joel Oltmann, who recently dropped out of the governor's race. Oltmann has called for the execution of high-ranking Colorado Democrats, including Governor Jared Polis and Phil Weiser, saying a synagogue of satanic Jews is running Colorado. Craig Steiner now takes over a party he's called essentially non-existent. Colorado Republicans haven't won a major statewide race in more than a decade. Steiner promised to stop the party infighting and lawsuits and work toward the shared goal of beating Democrats in November.
In a little over a month, Colorado voters will narrow down who will replace Governor Polis. And the only televised debate with all 3 Republican gubernatorial candidates is next week, right here on 9 News. We'll have a live commercial-free hour Tuesday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. between Victor Marks, State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, and State Representative Scott Bottoms. Then on Thursday, June 4th, 6 p.m., it's the Democrats' turn. U.S. Senator Michael Bennet and Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser. Ballots hit the mail in early June, and the primary election is set for Tuesday, June 30th.